Swamiji, it's a question that most people want to know, which is what brought you to Vedanta?
It's a very common question. Everybody asks, what brought you to Vedanta? There's nothing that brings one to Vedanta. If one has been living a life of a Bharatiya, typical traditional life. I come from a traditional family, so with a lot of exposure to sannyasis and then to the Sringeri Mata and many others. Luckily, fortunately, the talks of Swami Chinmayananji I've been listening to from the beginning, and the talks of our Pujya Swamiji. But some time that made me take up a course to Vedanta, if you ask, that would be the right question. Why did I have to do a course in Vedanta? Because when parents are living the life of Vedanta, we don't see that there is a need for us to look into it at all. The difference is not seen. The difference I began to see only after I started attending the public talks by Pujya Swamiji in Chennai. So the announcements have always been made for a 6-month course or a 3-month course. That would lure me to take up this course to see what is it that there are books to study. I mean, we've heard of the Gita talks were there, and the Gita was always there. We learnt it from teachers and from home, and we had a Satsanga every Friday at home. So there were many people who were coming home and giving talks. But then, why would anyone take up a thorough course of study? I was wondering what was there for study 6 months in a Gurukulam. Go to a Gurukulam, give up your home and go and study. So leaving home and going, also coming from a joint family system, it is not going to be easy. And of course, one is working, you'll have to give up your work to go there. So I had to wait for a suitable time till I could decide to go in 2001 to Rishikesh. Rishikesh attracted me, number one. And number two, it was Pujya Swamiji's was always in my mind. I said, let me go learn a little more. What is it that is going to be there? And 3 months in Rishikesh, that exposure to Shvetashvatara Upanishad, I hooked on to it, I would say. Then I understood that if one has to assimilate this knowledge into life, one has to study the shastra. Shastra backing and the grounding of the shastra from a right teacher, from the parampara, who does not swerve from Shankara. It is very important to find a good teacher, and a good teacher that was studied in the parampara, and that parampara has to be a Shankara parampara, Shankaracharya parampara. And it should be a thorough knowledge that one has to study for a good vision of Vedanta to assimilate the teachings. So from 3 months course, it went on to another 3-month course, and then it went on to another 3-month course, and then went on to a 3-year course, and then went on to never looking back into sannyasa. That's what happened. It doesn't mean that everybody is going to take sannyasa. I'm not going to scare anybody out of this. But if one is ready for it, it happens. It is not by force. So it is a 12-year preparation of the studies that made up my mind, opened my eyes to be able to live a life and also teach without, having a life of commitment. For teaching Vedanta, it does require that one should not have other commitments in life. And to pursue this, slowly one has to give up the other commitments. And that means have to go to a Gurukulam becomes a must. Or go to a teacher regularly to learn the classes. At least if you don't have the time to go to a Gurukulam, at least one has to go to a class regularly in your own place, wherever it may be. And luckily, Pujya Swamiji has produced hundreds of teachers. He's created hundreds of teachers. Shankaracharya created 4. And whereas our Swami Dayananda has created more than almost close to 300 teachers all over the world. So they're all available. So you must go attend regularly. So if you start studying Bhagavad Gita, finish it completely. If you're going to take up to a particular text, finish it. Then you know what it is. Otherwise, it is all academic knowledge, or it is loose knowledge, hearsay knowledge, or picked up from here and there and all over the place.
So what do you think about online learning?
You mean Facebook Vedanta, digital Vedanta, or blogging Vedanta? I am against it. If you want to learn Vedanta, you must go to a teacher, sit with the teacher and learn. It's a learning which Pujya Swamiji used to say, what is in the teacher's mind has to get transferred on to the minds of the students. And that means a live presence of the teacher and the student, and there's a very sacred relationship that gets built up in this, and all that will be missing because we are bound to misinterpret anything that is written in 2-3 sentences. Vedanta cannot be summarized in 2-3 sentences. It is something, a teaching, it's a flow of thoughts, flow of experience, flow of emotions, it's a flow of knowledge. Ultimately, it gathered all into one, which you can experience only when you go to a teacher and learn. So I really don't encourage anyone studying or picking up any knowledge from the digital media. I'm against it. There is something called a sacred relationship between a guru and a teacher. Now, any relationship is sacred if you say mother and children, and then the husband and wife, or your siblings or your friends. Any relationship is sacred, but the sanctity in a guru-sishya relationship, it is very unique. The guru may have 100 students, but then for all the 100 students, the relationship is very sacred and unique for each one of them. So in that atmosphere, in that environment, in that leisure that one gets, one assimilates Vedanta teaching much better than just merely looking at it as an academic approach with a few sentences posted on Facebook or digital media or blog or whatever that you may call. Coming to Vedanta classes, attending Vedanta classes or going to a Gurukulam, do I have to cut off myself from the society? Okay, after learning, where will you go? You have to go back to the society. If you cut yourself away from the society, how will you go back and relate? By doing a 3-year course, it doesn't mean that you would have learned everything about Vedanta. The assimilation takes place only after the course, when you have to put things into practice. And that means one cannot give up puja, one cannot give up meditation, one cannot give up yoga, one cannot give up pranayama, one cannot give up going to temples, one cannot give up going to any tirtha yatra, because the teaching of Vedanta is sarvam kalu idam brahma, everything is Ishvara. Now why should we exclude anything at all? How do you understand when we say sarvam kalu idam brahma that everything is Ishvara? Is it minus this? Is it going to be minus all your Deva Pujanam and then this study? Now, if to study this itself, unless we do that, the blessings have to flow from Ishvara, the blessing has to flow from the Shastra, blessing has to flow from the Guru, and the grace has to come from within yourself to start opening up on this vision that everything is Ishvara, everything is sacred. And that is the ultimate teaching of Vedanta. Unless you live all that, how will we understand? So there is nothing to give up. It's all inclusive, nothing exclusive. We don't stop eating, do we? We don't stop sleeping, do we? We don't stop having a bath, do we? So all this is not helpful. So as a process of the studies, all this to be included to understand the wholesome vision of Vedanta.
Is it anything that women are excluded from?
From Vedanta study? I mean, what exactly? You mean women cannot be excluded. If you exclude women, then you'll have to exclude the entire Shakti worship. Women are not excluded at all. Vedanta is for all. Okay, the Purva Kanda of the Vedas, it is exclusively for men. But Vedanta is the end portion of the Veda, where you get the knowledge about yourself, your relationship with the world and your relationship with Bhagavan. All that to understand why should a woman be excluded. I mean, I don't understand. And moreover, I'm a woman here, I've taken up to the study. Now, Vedanta does not exclude women. Now, here I have to say something. How do you have the reference? Where is the authority to say women are not excluded from Vedanta? If we study the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, sage Yajnavalkya has presented 3 models to us in that. One is a mumukshu, one is a regular laukika laywoman, and then the other one is a jnani. So he has all the 3 of them with whom he is relating and with whom he is interacting in the very Upanishad itself. So Katyayani was his wife, who was satisfied with a family life, with wealth and other things. She was a common woman. And then there was Maitreyi, and she wants to know. She wants to know. She wants knowledge. So he appreciates, says Yajnavalkya, appreciates that question in her and stays back before he goes to take up sannyasa to explain to her. And we study that, the importance of this knowledge. And then there is Gargi, Brahmavadini. She is on par with him and she is able to have a dialogue with him. When the 3 women are presented in the Upanishad, if we are taking the Upanishad model for the teaching, now why should we exclude ourselves? You can be, every one of us can fit into any 3. It cannot be the 4th one. One who is satisfied with the world, one who is just getting into knowing what it is because has fundamental questions asking, one who's already paunch gaya, who's reached already. So we can fit into any one of them. So Vedanta gives us the platform for that. So there is no exclusion for women at all. I'm very strong about this argument.